I just watched a TikTok about a little boy and a dog going to Popeyes. There's your joke.
Man's best friend.
To start the stream.
Man's best friend.
There it
the
is.
The stream?
The podcast.
You don't know what we're doing, do you?
No.
The camera isn't on, baby.
I never know what's happening.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome to Barnard Babble.
The podcast, episode 27. Is that what number we on?
I don't know. That's what I was about to say. Who knows what episode and who cares? Welcome back, everybody.
Obviously, the people care. They're always hounding me. I get so many emails asking, what number are you about to be on? I was never good at math. So, I know the last one was 25, but what's this one? See? No, you don't know.
No idea. But welcome back, everyone.
Hey, y'all.
Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope everyone's doing well and not infected or sick.
Infected?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Too soon, baby.
Yes.
Some people are infected. I was infected a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you were. There definitely was like a resurgence of sickness, at least in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, I feel like it goes in waves, Did we say our names?
No.
Well, who are you? Your name is Giggle?
No. Okay, my name's Erica.
And my name is Justin.
And we are the Barnards.
Yeah.
And
that's where the name of the podcast comes from, if you didn't know.
And we are going to be talking about The Last of Us, the show that's out on hbomax currently.
Have you heard of The Last of Us? If you were cool like us, you would have heard about it in 2013 when the game came out on PS3. Damn, that was a long time ago.
I don't think I heard of it in 2013. I don't know. I'm not sure what I was doing in 2013. I think I was out in the streets.
You was in them streets.
I was working and I was like buying clothes a lot. So I don't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it.
Is that what the kids call it these days? I was working and buying clothes.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. That's what I was doing.
Working and buying
out in these streets. No, you introduced me to The Last of Us.
Oh, you had heard about it, but you hadn't played it before, right?
I don't think I'd even heard of it. That's what I'm trying to say. I think in 2015 you showed me a video or something, and it was like, I forget who makes those videos of like children watch Mickey Mouse for the first time.
Fine Bros or something like that.
Videos like that. It was one of those. It was like
reacting to something.
Yeah, people react to the opening of The Last of Us for the first time.
Interesting.
So it was a YouTube video, and
okay.
and they reacted, and I reacted along with them of like, oh my God, what is this game? Like, this is crazy. This is a video game?
Yeah.
Like, this is insane. It stopped at the opening credits.
Listen,
the part that they let them watch.
The fact that Last of Us is a successful adaptation isn't that... Look, it's impressive. It's hard to make a thing. But the Last of Us video game was already working with a lot of... It was made to be like a TV show. It really was.
It's cinematic.
It's so cinematic. Yes,
it's extremely cinematic.
So like when they were talking about making the show, people were like, "Why? We have the games. The games is that." We'll definitely get into it. I'm not surprised that it's good, but I'm not surprised. But I'm just thankful. I'm glad that it's universally praised. Anyway, baby, I'm getting ahead of myself. Finish your thought about your history with the franchise.
And so, yeah, I watched that and I thought it was really cool. And then you told me, oh, yeah, I've played this game and it is one of the best games ever. And then I didn't see anything from it till like a year later or something. And you decided to replay the game, I think for me, to show me the game.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
And I was just like, this is the best backseat gaming experience of my life. I was so invested in the story of The Last of Us. Like, it is wild. And like, to not not playing the game, I'm sure playing that game for the first time and you're these characters, it's probably magnificent. But I had a really great backseat gaming experience in watching you play the game. I was super into it, and I couldn't believe that this was a video game. I was just like, this is peak, peak video game media here.
I mean, listen, it's no Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Okay.
But hey, you're right, yeah. It's up there.
I wish I knew anything about Metal Gear Solid 3.
Listen, the people out there know.
Okay.
The Metal Gear franchise, listen, we're talking about storytelling. Look, I'm half joking. Maybe even more than half joking. But that's the story, I think, in like no kidding, like in Metal Gear Solid 3, some of the huge plot points of that game, I think were a little more like, yeah, for me than even The Last of Us was.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, once again, I don't know anything about Metal Gear Solid 3, but it's just hard
but
to
what
me
you do
to
know,
think.
you're just like, that's impossible.
Well, I've always heard those stories are all over the place.
They are.
And
Go on.
maybe convoluted.
Yep.
And
Yep, totally.
So to me, that's not good storytelling.
But there's so much of it. Some of it has to be profound.
Okay. I'm not even okay. That's
Anyway,
a statement
look.
you could make. Oh, right.
It's so funny with video games, y'all. We're not getting the spoilers just yet, but this conversation will be primarily about episode 1 and episode 2 of the show. So spoilers for those 2 episodes. We're not going to get into spoilers about the games. Like we're going to talk about the show, just in case you haven't played the video game, you don't know what goes on. We will not spoil that. So just letting you know. So
yes.
So you're safe from that. But hopefully you've seen the first 2 episodes before you listen to this. Or if you don't care, hey, come on in
and play the games.
Honestly,
and go play the game.
Like it's one of those games where like when people are, hey, I don't really like video games, or my spouse or my loved one or whoever doesn't like video games, could I show them a game? Is there a game they think they would like to play? Last of Us is a pretty good option. They're like, mechanically it can be a little bit difficult. I would recommend just play on easy.
Right.
They have a lot of accessibility options. Especially, they re-released. Good Lord, they re-released part 1. There's 2 Last of Us games. They re-released part 1. I believe it was late last year, and tons of accessibility options. There's like you can essentially be invisible in some ways.
Oh,
like
wow.
it's they make it pretty easy for people to get into these games. So,
right.
Because they know how special they are, and they want people to see the story.
Yes. And I guess in saying all that is to get the point across that this is a highly revered piece of media, piece of IP.
Game of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
People think very highly of The Last of Us 1.
Part 1.
It's like on everyone's top 10 list as far as video games go.
Yeah, it's up
and
there.
it really does lend itself to the medium of film.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they directed the game, made the game. It is extremely cinematic. And realistic as far as the characters go, know. But should we say kind of what the story is, just a little bit of what's going on in the game?
Sure.
There is an outbreak, which we have all experienced that recently in the real world.
It makes our outbreak look like, a little stubbed toe. Yeah.
There is an outbreak in this world. Are we saying what the outbreak is? Because we're spoiling we're talking spoiler talk for the first 2 episodes of the show. So,
well, they said it's like a cordyceps type thing.
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure we're saying the word fungus, things like that. We're saying words.
Oh yeah, I said we were going to spoil the first 2 episodes.
Got it. No. Yes. So there's a fungal outbreak. Essentially, it's something that's part of the earth, part of the world. It's here. The fungus has evolved into this thing where, in the video game anyway, if you breathe in the spores of this fungus. It overtakes you.
You're screwed.
Yeah, you become part of it, and it wants to make everyone it.
Yes.
Basically, you become feral and essentially a zombie. A zombie.
It's a creative way of doing a zombie
show,
game. Movie, whatever. Yeah.
Which zombies, very 2008. I get it. Like, it's been done. We're all tired and we're all over it.
Yeah.
But The Last of Us has a really great twist with the concept of human beings being taking over. And that being that this is something that could actually happen.
Yeah, they put the fear of God into you the first episode. They do these cool things like these
cold openings
where it's in the current world of the world of Last of Us, but it's showing you a piece of history or a different angle. So far, what they're doing, the first episode was, I forget what year it took place in, like
the 50s or something.
Yeah,
like
the opening of the first episode took place, I believe, in the 50s or something, 50s, 60s, whatever. And it's these scientists, these doctors on this, Johnny Carson-esque TV show talking about dangers. It seems like hey, what are you scared of in the world? And this kind of infection, this and this.
Pandemics essentially is what one guy, infective.
Yeah.
Bacterial diseases and things like that is what one of the scientists says.
And the brother from the mummy, He's. I mean, if you know, you know. You may even, if you've seen the show, been like, "Oh, that guy kind of looks familiar," and dismissed it. Well, that's who he is. You ever seen The Mummy? That's him.
Yeah.
He's explaining what what potential fungus viruses or whatever would do to the people. We will essentially be done.
And it's real science.
And like I'll say this: played the first game maybe 4 or 5 times. Played that second game 1 time. Anyway, but I have a really good memory.
Yeah, I remember that second game.
I remember. I don't need to replay, at least not right now.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, played plenty of. I've been in that world, and not one time in my time of playing The Last of Us was I ever like, wow. And maybe this says something about me. I don't know, but wow, what if this was real?
Yeah.
What if we had to deal with this? You may think about it like, a fleeting moment of like, whoa, what would I do if I was, in a post-apocalyptic world? I would go here and stock up and do this, and me and my friends would, whatever. You do like what if scenarios with different things, but to honestly think about it and be like slightly scared about it did not happen until that cold open of the show. Right.
They set it up so well. Like at the end of the night when I'm laying in bed, I am sitting there thinking of it. I'm having an existential crisis, essentially.
Am I just like,
oh my God, if this happened, what would we do? And how would we do? Like this first episode of The Last of Us, you guys, they masterful work at suspense, at like making you believe that what is happening could actually happen because of the science of it all. And the game slightly, there's an opening where they kind of are like, here's what's going on. It's like a montage.
It's like a montage of
with credits over it and things. But
there's pros and cons to any kind of medium. And with a game, you can't go on too long with like cutscenes or whatever. I mean, look, the game does have plenty of cutscenes, but you can't. People need to get in there quickly enough and be controlling something.
Right.
Depends what kind of game you're playing, but for the most part, you want to get in there and have the person who's playing this game actually playing the game. So you couldn't have that kind of code opening. It would have had to be pretty different. So the game starts off with just like, viral infected here and there. It's like news reports, and it's like, oh God, and it's talking about the Firefly resistance in the same breath of like, hey, all this is happening. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong.
Okay.
that isn't the first thing that happens in the game. The first thing that happens, I'm pretty sure, is just the show starts off with the character Sarah, Joel's daughter, and I'm pretty sure the game starts off the same way.
It does. I thought that we were talking. I thought that's what we were saying.
Well,
everything plays out the same.
Sorry, we were talking about cold openings.
Uh-huh.
And the game doesn't open with that montage.
No, it does not.
That montage happens after the 20 years later.
Right.
So you knew?
Yeah, I knew. I just meant about the part when they get in the part of the game when they actually explain what's happening.
Oh, I thought you meant like the very first thing you see.
No.
We'll see how much of this stays in, y'all. If you're hearing me say this currently, it all stayed in. Okay, so anyway, it made me think, and it actually put like genuine like, oh God, fear into you. And the reason also because of that, because the actual fungus, the cordyceps, whatever, it's cordyceps, right? I'm sure there's a fancier scientific term to it, but just cordyceps, that is real. That is a real thing
that exists currently.
And it usually infects insects or I don't know if it's just insects or what.
The show explains it that your body temperature has to be above a certain number for the fungus to be able to
do anything,
integrate and take you over. And apparently there's some insects that it does do that, like ants in some countries.
Ants is the only one that I know for sure it will take over. And I'm sure that I've seen like a little 30-second clip or something. I know I can picture it in my brain.
There's a documentary on YouTube.
This documentary, I'm sure it's terrifying if you watch the whole thing. Just like,
I mean, it's science,
like sick,
but it's
like,
real and it's gross.
It's real.
But they did a great job with making you instantly afraid in 5 minutes. I mean, just masterful. And even the audience is just like silence. All right, we're gonna go to commercial.
Yeah.
So freaking terrifying, so scary. And the game is scary in the fact that you're playing it and you got to run from these crazy looking monsters. But it's never like mentally like, oh my god, this could happen to me. What would I do? Who would feed my cat? And
maybe y'all did have those thoughts when y'all played the game, but I really never did. It was I don't know, maybe because I'm older now. I think about it more. Maybe if I was in my 30s playing the first Last of Us, I would have thought about it. Maybe but you're like, no, that's not true at all.
I mean, I saw it in my mid 30s, The Last of Us, and I didn't think anything like that. It was just a video game.
You're right.
That I was really into.
Yeah, you're right.
And I would go on about my day, But this show, it was like, I'm scared,
Hold me.
Like, I'm scared of life now. What is life? Like, it actually really did make me scared in that regard. But as far as like, okay, so the rest of the show, still doing the same thing of building this tension, especially if you've played the games before, you know exactly what's going to happen. But the show does such a good job at it still being terrifying.
Yeah.
You're still nervous. You're still on edge.
Which was
even though you know what's
it was
going
unexpected
to happen.
because there is enough new things in there to break it up. It isn't a shot for shot remake, because if it was, it would kind of be redundant. It really would be. What's the point? And it's plenty of people.
It would be the live action Lion King. Like, just watch the original Lion King.
It would be a worse version of it. Yeah, you're right.
Just play the game.
Because it would be and some people are still like, maybe this is on Twitter, but they're like, it's the same thing. Why would I watch it? I think there's people who just haven't watched it. It's just like it's a bad take.
Yeah.
When you watch it, you get it. There's enough key differences to make it worthwhile. And even though if you play the game, you do know what's going to happen ultimately, it's still, like Erica said, it still is tense, and you're still like, ooh, I'm not at ease.
It's something about seeing real human beings put in this situation that makes your brain just take it a different way. And I really think that's what it is for the most part, is watching these human people emote and react to what is going on. And they give the Sarah, the daughter character, Joel's daughter, like so much agency in the first 20 minutes of the show.
Yeah, like if you've never played the game, you're going in, oh, she's the main character, we're gonna follow her adventures, and she is
the main character as far as the show is concerned. The way that they film it and everything, and it's great. It's nice to get to know her a little bit.
A bit more than the game. It's nice
to see the world slowly not crumbling, but something's off throughout her day. Something's off. News reports in the background.
Ambulance,
lots of sirens
and sirens,
all day long. Shop owners closing up early, and you start seeing little things that are just so cool, of like, something's going down, in the world. But she's a kid. She doesn't know what it is. She's like, I get it. Like, I felt like they did such a good job of portraying her, that character, and making you really like her, and she's so sweet and stuff, And I guess, speaking of characters, we could talk about the casting a little bit.
Sure.
They, when they announced the casting for this, like, Pedro Pascal's playing our beloved Joel. We love Joel.
I was completely fine with that.
I don't know if I was, to tell you the truth, because you know how you get like an actor in your mind, or you're just so like, I know what this character looks like.
I've played the game. I've seen the footage. I know who would be good at this, and you didn't picture Pedro.
No. And I think at that time when they announced it, I don't know if he was already the Mandalorian or, or what. I don't know if I'd seen him.
He was definitely already Mandalorian. Mandalorian's been on for a while now. Okay. I mean, Last of Us has been talked about for forever.
Some years ago.
Oh, but still, he was already Mandalorian before like the show became concrete. Like, for real,
Okay, before they cast him?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't believe me, y'all fact check me. Let me know if I'm wrong.
I'm like, okay, I don't know the time of the day when they announced this cast. But, he's great as Joel.
He's really good.
He has absolutely embodied the essence of Joel. This rough, gruff, character.
I'm glad you came around because I was going to ask you what you have against Chileans, baby.
Oh my God, no! Pedro is our Chilean king. He's our Lord and Zaddy. We love Pedro Pascal.
I'm rolling my eyes, y'all.
No, big fan. And it's just having more. You know, people that watch The Mandalorian probably ain't never seen anything else with this man in it.
Probably not.
So
well, I don't know. I bet you they've seen him in Game of Thrones. They may not be able to be like, he was in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
They've probably seen Game of Thrones. They've seen him in Mandalorian, and now they've seen him in Last of Us.
Yeah. So I mean, the love is growing because this is everybody's watching this show.
Yeah. Everybody's
watching it. So yes, we are all loving our Pedro King, our daddy King Pedro.
Yeah.
He's absolutely wonderful.
How about Ellie?
Now,
is everybody loving the actress who plays Ellie?
No, Bella Ramsey. I have no problems with this
either.
Young lady. She seems great as Ellie. Once again, embodying the essence of the character, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But there are some people on the internet that are very hung up on the way she looks.
I think it's honestly, what I'm about to say is a lot of people would say this. I think it's the vocal minority, and sure, the vocal minority is so loud and like fervent, so it may seem like it's everybody. No, I feel like the vast majority of people are completely fine with her.
I think
she's
so.
playing a role well.
Right.
People who have never played the game, because like I've seen some dumb arguments of like, well, I can't stand her in this game. I can't stand her in the show. In the game, she was this and that. And there's no way people will like her character. And people who have never played the game and who will never play the game are just like, no, she's great. I like her already.
Right.
She's it's like
a spunky teenager in a post-apocalyptic world.
I don't know.
I think her characteristics are very accurate.
Yeah, I don't know
you
what
wouldn't
they
be a
wanted.
Sweet little kid, growing up like that.
And Ellie wasn't a sweet little kid,
and she definitely wasn't. Yeah,
I don't know. It's some weird people out there. And once again, I think there's just a vocal minority of people who are complaining about her. She's doing a good job. Like if she starts bombing in terms of her acting in like an episode or two, then we'll let you know. But so far,
I have a feeling she won't though.
So far,
she
she's
killed
doing
it
good.
in Game of Thrones. She absolutely killed it.
She was who was she?
She was Little Mormon
Mormont girl,
queen, or something like that.
Queen little girl. Yeah,
she was great.
She was great. Yeah,
everybody liked her. And then the lady that's playing Tess, her name is Anna Torv. Great.
I've seen her in multiple things. Don't ask me what her name is.
Anna Torv.
No idea what her name
is. Her name. I believe I'm probably saying it wrong, but Tess.
Yeah.
She is Tess. I mean, it is great. They made her a little harder almost. Did they make her harder or softer?
No, she's softer in this.
She's softened in this.
She's softer, yeah.
They've softened her out.
They made like the dynamic between her and Joel a little more like
concrete. Like,
yes, they are a thing. They're still like like bad people in this world, but like they are together. You know, it's a little more like, well, yeah, of course.
Yes.
In the game, it was like,
It was a little bit more ambiguous of they probably hook up, who knows?
Yeah.
They also work together and stuff like that.
Yeah, the show wanted to put more of a stamp on that.
Right, but the show was good. Like, there is some love and affection and care there.
For her limited time that she was with us, Tess, she, because man, the more you think about it, I wish she had maybe had like even another episode. But they're following the game. That's how long she was around there in the game.
Right.
In the game it probably felt longer because you're playing it. But the show is like, look, we got to give like 2 episodes. By the second episode, she's gonna be dead. So we have to make people like her, which is why I think they made her a little bit softer.
Sure.
They made her more. I think her and Ellie had more interactions than the game, or at least a little bit more. Like she was immediately more softer to Ellie than Joel was,
right?
Because you want Ellie to feel some kind of way when she dies, like no, in the audience, you want the audience to feel some kind of way,
right?
I was gonna say this earlier, but just like when we were talking about us feeling, the show, like seeing these actors and whatever, like. Video games are art. I'm not like in the camp of video games aren't art. That's such an old argument that I don't think people really even make anymore. But I don't think I've ever cried in a video game. Me personally, You've
never cried playing a video game?
No.
That's not true.
Well,
I know in Last of Us 2 you cried, didn't you?
No.
You didn't cry at all?
I'm almost certain I didn't cry. Like maybe I'm trying to think.
Some of y'all might be hearing my voice and be like, "Well, I didn't cry either," but
I know.
I think maybe just because I cried a couple of times.
What part would I have? Oh, that part? No.
Well, no, I cried a couple of times. There were multiple moments that got me in. The Last
I was
of Us 2.
I was just gonna say like I believe video games are art. I love the medium. I've been playing games since I was like 5 years old. I have never cried. I don't believe in a video game. Maybe like through like a triumphant moment, I got like emotional, but like yes.
Portal?
But, you got me. That's right. Thank you, baby. Portal 2, which I think maybe even that's a little different. I guess what I'm thinking is during a cutscene, have I cried because of a sad moment that the goal of that scene was to make the person sad or feel emotional and potentially cry? No.
Okay.
My Portal 2 experience was like, I love this game. It was the right time, right place. It was the credits. It was the
it's
music.
when everyone cries.
Yes, it was at the very end during the credits, and like it's a song that the person was singing, and you're just like, oh wow, I feel it. I feel all this.
Yeah, you just
and
went,
I cried.
Yeah,
and I cried. I forget how old I was.
Journey.
I mean, I guess I was an adult by that point. And when I say cry, listen, I'm not boohooing y'all. I wasn't blowing my nose, but tears fell down my face.
Boohooing. I mean, I was crying, but I kind of can't believe you don't remember. But there were multiple times where I got my sleeve and I'm just rubbing it on my face.
And I'm saying all that to say, like, the medium of a TV show lends, at least for me, it's easier for me to connect and get involved with a character when I see it's a real person.
Right.
I just wanted to say that because I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, look, I love games and I appreciate what they can do. I love when they tell cinematic stories. God of War, Last of Us, like Spider-Man. There's like on the PS5 or PS4 or whatever. Like there's a bunch, like it's a lot of Sony products. They're really diving into heavy story-based stuff and they want you to connect with these characters, and I connect with them, but for some reason I can't get over that like emotional hump. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just recognizing it. And a TV show, even like a mediocre one, because it's a person, will allow me to do that. I just want to say that because I was thinking about it. Right. Luckily, this show, I guarantee you, I'll cry during the show. I hadn't done it yet. I guarantee you it will happen.
Okay. I don't know if I cried during The Last of Us, the first one. That's what I don't know if I shed a tear.
When Joel's daughter Sarah, gets it by the end of the first episode, I
cried there.
Oh, in the game?
No,
you did in the game?
No, not in the game.
Okay, yeah,
the show.
That's what I'm saying. In the show, you cried.
Yeah. It got me, and I didn't think it was because I knew it was coming or whatever. But I was shaking that whole first episode.
You told me that, yeah.
My involuntary shakes couldn't stop.
I couldn't believe that. But
like it was something about it for me. It just was like whoa, and I don't know. It clicked.
I think knowing where it went was it's fun. I wish I could watch the show not knowing what happened.
Yeah,
but it's also fun knowing what happens and to think about the journey that they're going to go on, and you just being like, whoa, how are they going to adapt this, and how are they going to change this scenario, because there's no way they could do this in a TV show.
Right.
Like it's fun watching it like that. But I think knowing that Sarah gets it by the end of the episode, you're watching it just like, ooh, the whole time just like, oh, look at her being happy with Joel, eating breakfast in the morning and just going over to the neighbors, and oh, why is that grandma looking really weird and shaking in her chair?
That was the best scene.
That was creepy.
That is the best scene.
Very effective.
In that episode. I can't even, like, people will show it in their YouTube videos as they review.
Oh,
I don't even want to
look at it? I love it.
Like, it freaked me out.
It's really good. It's just all
so
it is.
simple, too.
Mouth opening.
It's just the fact that it's blurred in the background.
Yep.
If it was closer, it wouldn't even be that scary, but just the shadow of her mouth and her eyes.
You know what it made me think
terrifying.
of, oddly enough? It made me think of the scene in It with like the weird librarian lady in the background, which me even mentioning that, I'm getting like a little bit of chills.
I love stuff like that.
That's the creepy. If y'all know what we're talking about, in It, in the remake of It.
First It, right?
First It, not the Tim Curry It. The part with, what's his name? Chunky Boy.
I don't remember.
He's in a library. And in the background, you see a librarian.
But you didn't see that at first. Remember that?
I did not.
Because I was like, you didn't see that lady?
No, I did. It freaked me out.
We watched a YouTube clip because I was like, you don't remember that?
She gave him a book, because he was like, I want to look up information on dairy or whatever. And he's looking at the book and he's turning and seeing horrible stuff. You see the librarian in the background, just like blurry, like creepy, like smiling, like terrifying.
Great.
So I got a slight hint of that from the wheelchair grandma. Oof.
Yeah.
But talking about going back for a second, I saw something. Twitter thread or something. So people were saying what makes people sick, and I think in the video game they do eventually point out what's the name of the place? Is it Jakarta?
Jakarta, yeah, that where the outbreak started.
Yeah,
You know,
they talk about how it's in the what is it in, baby? The flower. The flower. Okay, and in the first episode, Joel and Ellie only eat like some eggs for breakfast. They don't eat. They don't get like bread. They don't get his cake.
No.
His birthday cake. They don't. It's a few different things.
Did you say Ellie? I think you did accidentally.
Oh, my bad. I said Ellie, didn't I?
Sarah,
his girl.
His baby girl. Sarah
I've probably done it a few times. My bad.
Doesn't eat the cookies.
Sarah doesn't make those cookies that the neighbors make.
Or the biscuits that they offer in the morning.
Yes. Yeah. So like, someone pointed that out. I was like, oh my God, that's right.
Yeah. Someone said, yeah. So if you were gluten free, you skipped out on that. You know,
good,
all the gluten free people survived basically.
And I forgive me. I forget that if they ever really pointed that out in the game. Did they? Do you remember?
We listened to a little bit of the Last of Us HBO podcast, and Neil Druckmann, the creator of the game,
like
mentioned that they made a conscious choice to keep it America and keep it American,
to show American,
as far as like just to show it, but it was happening worldwide.
I just want to know if they like specifically said Jakarta. You know, I don't know if they did. If they did, it must have been in some text somewhere that I skipped over and didn't really care about because I wanted to, shoot something in the face.
Well, talking about Jakarta, the cold opening for episode 2,
Mamma Mia,
absolutely brilliant. It's
great.
This older woman. She's sitting in a restaurant. All of a sudden, this military personnel comes in, escorts her out. She thinks she's in trouble.
Yeah,
like, what did I do?
They're walking fast.
If it was you immediately like her character because she's like, if I have committed a crime, I'll do whatever. But I don't know what that crime was. I don't know what I did, and he's like, no, we don't need you for that. We need you because he asked her what she is or what she does, and she's some sort of scientist.
I study fungicide.
Right. She's something like that.
Yeah.
And you could tell she immediately is like, okay, something's happening.
Yes.
You've got me out from my chicken joint, wherever she was. She was
in a restaurant. I was like, was she in class teaching? No, she was eating.
No, she
was
minding
lunch.
her business.
You're right.
She was minding her business, probably on a weekend. She was off, and so they came and picked her up, and I guess they they're one of their first victims. From the infection, and talking about the infection just for a moment. One of the changes that they've done, which I think is absolutely brilliant in the show versus the game, is showing the fungus coming out of people's mouths.
Great.
It's so disturbing.
Like the weird tendril looking hair almost. Like,
it's disturbing. And that is like
good.
How fungus works. It's alive.
Yeah.
Like it's this living thing.
Great change.
And so it just is a great way to show this has affected this person. It has taken over their body. It's taking over their brain. And in order for in order for the fungus to infect more people, it needs to bite you, make an opening or
Scratch
whatever.
You
maybe scratch you.
Kind of hazy on that, actually.
But get in there. It needs to get in there.
Yeah.
It is gross. Absolutely disgusting. I hate it, but it's great.
I know, so
like
good.
I don't want to look at it, but it's great.
It's a body there, and she's doing quick little autopsy on the body, and it's moving, and the body's dead, but that fungus is like, I'm here,
right?
And she's cutting her, and it's like you see the fungus coming out. It is really effective,
very effective,
and it quickly moves, and she's just like, oh no, and she's asking questions, and they're telling her stuff.
When they sit her down and they say, so what do you think? What can we do?
Yeah.
And well, I think she asked. You said she's asking questions. Yeah. She asked them, where did it start? They say a flower factory or whatever.
Person got bit,
which immediately is like, oh, we're screwed. Everyone's screwed. It's in the flower. It's in everything.
Yeah.
And also, I guess the science of it too is, yes, it would grow in something like that. Like it would evolve in something like that in the wheat, in the whatever.
But it was like multiple people had gotten bit at the factory, right?
Yes. She asked how many people are missing. The guy tells her like 15 are unaccounted for. 15 employees.
And she's like, oh. And like you can see her change, just like her face, like.
This woman, great day actress. She probably came in for one day, did this,
Yep.
you know. Give this woman an Emmy. Absolute, just watching. There's no English during this. They're speaking their language. And it's just, her facial expressions are so good. The camera stays on her face. The military guy is like, what do we do? And she just says bomb. And it's like your heart just sinks. And she's like, bomb everyone in the city. Yeah. And you and me, like, I'm getting chills thinking about it because it's like, if I was that guy, I would say no. Because I'm selfish. And I would be like, no, I don't want to die, and I don't want my family to die.
What I love,
But she immediately was like, can you also just get me a car because I would love to spend my last moments with my family.
And, like, think about that, like, in media, you know, there's always a character who's trying to save themselves. They would be, you know, they would say, you know, bomb the city, bomb all these people.
Right.
Now, how are we getting out of here, you know?
Right.
But the fact that she said bomb first, bomb these people, also, let me get back to my people.
Right.
My family, and then y'all start bombing because otherwise we all gonna die.
Well, basically, everybody's like, everyone on the world will die.
Yeah, she's like, look, this city's screwed, but
we are not getting out of here.
Yeah, we're not getting out of here.
You and me sitting here right now, this is it for us. Absolutely wonderful because the game doesn't give you this kind of background story.
No, it doesn't, and I'm really it's one of those things where I love the story that Naughty Dog tells. I don't know if you said it, but Naughty Dog is the developer for the game, you know, and I love the story they tell. But it's one of those where if they would do spinoffs or show other parts, like, hey, what's going on in Paris right now in the Last of Us world? You know, what's going on in Jakarta? Like, what's going on in different parts of the world? I'm sure there's hundreds of stories they could tell.
Right.
They're gonna tell. We hope one more story. There's two
of the video game.
Of the video game. There's two games. Please let it be a part 3. I don't think we said it yet. The show is doing so well. It's already critically acclaimed. They've green lit a season 2, so it's coming. And if you know anything, we're not gonna get into it. But if you know anything about about part 2 of the game, woo, that is gonna be a challenge to adapt. For not only because that game is longer than the first game by a good bit.
It's double the size. It's
controversial. That game has lots of that it does and it tackles and it tries to say. Some of it, I feel like they nail. And this is coming from somebody like me and Erica. Love that second game, but there still is some sloppiness to that second game that I'm wondering what they're gonna do. So whenever that second season comes, it's gonna be a whole lot of conversations.
I definitely feel like Neil Druckmann, if he continues to be a creative on the show, I don't think there's going to be a lot of changes.
You don't think so?
To the core story.
No. The core, but like there's many little.
But that's a big problem for a lot of people is the core story of The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
And that man does not back down.
No spoilers.
And I respect him for that. I mean, it's his story.
It's his story.
You can like it or not, but it's his art. He created it, and it's your prerogative. If you don't like it, that's totally fine.
That's totally fine, and you will voice that opinion on Twitter and on Reddit and on every kind of comment section on the internet. You will
I
let
will
people
say
know.
Last of Us fans are very passionate. I mean, extremely passionate about about the games, and
they did it to themselves, Naughty Dog, because they made the characters so lovable.
Joel,
and the characters, whatever, Joel,
and
everybody,
Ellie,
the people love these characters. His brother, Tommy, I'm saying the characters, they made them, and even the villains, like hateable and whatever, right? So I don't know. It's weird. It's like, is it just gamers? I feel like you could take any community that's passionate about something, and if there's, disagreement and whatever kind of thing, whether it's them adapting to a show or whether it's a character change for a sequel, they're like, oh, that character wouldn't be like this, or just it's whatever. There's so many little things that you could change about a game that fans won't like, and they'll let you know.
Yeah,
Last of Us is pretty unique in terms of how vitriolic it could be, and that's for plenty of reasons, political reasons, and like different ideologies. We don't gonna get into it, but there's a lot of stuff that goes along with it because it is more grounded. It's not like, oh, I can't believe they made Mario have a cap that could talk. Right. Mario should only have a backpack with water in it that should talk.
Yeah.
Like what? I
Yeah.
can't believe he doesn't have his Tanuki suit in this game, and instead he has, the fire flower. Versus, I can't believe Joel is over here killing this person when Joel should have killed this person. Or, it's like, I can't believe, it's just, it's the stakes are a little more grounded.
Right.
So it lends itself to more serious conversations.
I cannot wait for season 2 to come out, because that will be the real testament of gamers versus everybody else.
That's gonna be interesting.
Seeing how just regular Joe Schmoes react to season 2 will be very, very interesting. Will there also be the same issues in discourse just across the board of people that and everyone's watching the show, people that have watched the show and they'll just feel betrayed or like, oh God, I'm stopping after episode 1.
Sure.
It'll be interesting to see.
Anyway,
it'll be interesting to see.
We've gotten very far ahead of ourselves. We're gonna back up a little bit to episode 2, talk a little bit more about that. And I don't know if you want to talk about something specifically, baby, but like we talk about them adapting sometimes shot for shot. You can go to YouTube right now and type in game versus show comparisons, and there'll be split shots of different stuff. They've done a lot of that. Like if they enter a hotel and like the water and like the lighting and all of it looks pretty similar to them in the game. Just this little moments, and there is a lot of new dialogue. There's little moments of they're like, hey, he said that in the game, or that was in the game, but a lot of it is new. Just like with like a slight twist, or it could be dialogue that sounds similar, but a twist of enough to fit a show,
right? And you talking about them being in that hotel, the practical sets in this show, there's probably some like fake backgrounds or whatever, matte paintings or VFX
towards the end of the second episode. I can
obviously
see
those buildings on top of each other and stuff aren't real, but I mean like the cars, looks the really overgrown good. City, the
fungus like the infected like plastered on walls, like just like grown into the environment. All of that looks really good.
It looks very good. And they made a fact in the second episode. They introduced the clickers, which are a big part of the game. One of the major infected monsters they will run into more that are interesting too, and also in the second game there's some interesting things in that.
Oh my God,
that
how
I
am
excited to
see.
Anyway, that I am excited to see. But listening to that HBO podcast, After Show podcast, you guys, they made it like they were like, if we're going to do these clickers, they have to be practical. Yeah. Because we want people to stay with us. We don't want it to look fake. We don't want it to look taken out like with the CGI or whatever.
Fakeness, yeah.
And I don't know if you knew this, but
go on.
Those the people that were actors of the clickers are like fans of the game.
I did see that somewhere.
And they're people that are like, they know how to mimic their movements. They know the movement. They could make the sounds themselves.
I forget what I was watching, but I did see that, and I was like, well, that's cool, and it makes a lot of sense because, like, we're talking about how the game was so cinematic and the story was this and that, right? And so this is a gimme. This is the easy adaptation. No, they could have messed this up so hard.
Oh,
and we all would have been shaking our head and being like, I can't believe they've done
That's
another.
How most video game adaptations are. I can't believe they just went that far off the path.
Yes.
And that's why this is not good.
Yes. It does help. I will also say it does help that it's a TV show. I cannot imagine if they tried to make this into a movie.
It wouldn't have worked. Hence, Nathan Drake, the Uncharted, the Tom Holland Uncharted that recently came out. On paper, that was an easy win. The Uncharted games, the stories.
Yes.
The stories and the characters are good. They are tight.
That could have been a movie.
Also Naughty Dog, right?
Also Naughty Dog.
Yes, also Naughty Dog. Yeah. And they also did Crash Bandicoot. Woo, okay.
I can't wait for that movie.
They also did Crash.
That would be a fun movie.
A Crash Bandicoot movie would be great.
A fun animated movie anyway.
Mm-hmm. But they dropped the ball with Uncharted severely.
Uncharted slipped up day one with cast and Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have more of a problem with Tom Holland than Mark Wahlberg, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, you know what? It's one of those where you're saying, oh, hey, they got this. Just stick to the game. You tweak this, you tweak that. Right. Boom. You're going to be printing money. You're going to be making at least 3 of these movies. And they fumbled it so hard. Actually, I say that. I don't know how much money the movie made. If anything, it probably broke even Maybe
I don't know. Probably, yeah.
Worldwide, maybe it was considered profitable, but I know critically it was it was
failure.
Hey, this is mid at best. This is mid.
This is a fail.
So it's Last of Us could have been the same way. And look, we're 2 episodes in out of what, 9 or 10?
9 or 10,
something like that. So look, could this fall to pieces? Maybe, but I feel like they really are going to nail it. We're putting their faith into Neil Druckmann and the showrunners and everybody who has a hand in this. And so far, they're doing it. They're nailing it.
Yeah. Speaking of the showrunners, Craig Mazin is one of them. It's Craig Mazin, Neil Druckmann.
Craig Mazin?
Yeah, and Craig Mazin, or Mazin, it's probably Mazin though.
Sure.
Is the guy that did the Chernobyl series that, dear God, people love.
Everybody loves that.
I didn't watch it because I didn't think I had the stomach to watch it.
Well, it's funny because I like watching stuff, and I know it wouldn't turn my stomach. I've seen a lot of horrible things in my days. Horrible movies that I would not recommend anyone to watch, but just horribly violent. Oof. But I don't know why I didn't stick with Chernobyl. I don't know. I was watching Hell's Kitchen or something. Who knows? I was like, I could watch this, or I could just eat this, Burger King and watch Family Guy. I didn't want to get too invested in like a serious, drama like that.
Yeah.
I should go back and. Everybody loves that show.
Yeah, it's masterful, apparently. So
him being a part of it is like, oh, well, yeah.
This is going to be top notch.
Good pedigree.
Prestige. Also, the fact that it's on HBO.
Yeah.
HBO, they don't make many duds. They don't make a lot of shows
they don't miss too hard.
They don't miss a lot. They really don't.
Their track record is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Like even if a show gets canceled or doesn't do like crazy well, it still usually is a good show.
It's usually a good show. Just people didn't watch it.
People just didn't watch it. And it's like, look, like they know going in that like not a lot of people are going to probably watch this, but the quality is there,
right.
So it's interesting. Man, Westworld apparently just became so horrible though. People liked that first season a lot. Second season was like, this is complicated and stupid and like not as good. Third season, people were, hey, okay, all right, they're trying. Oh no, it's still not good. And was there a 4th season? Anyway, it got canceled. It got canceled, and they're taking it off HBO Max.
Okay.
So it's like, damn. So look, they'll miss occasionally, but their track record is really good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this earlier. We're talking about stuff that's different from the game to the show. There's no spores in the show, so like this, the air, like characters aren't going into like an abandoned building that they know is, filled with spores and wearing gas masks. And I heard that before the first episode came out, and that almost put me off so hard. I was like, they changed that? And that is a big change because the first game, the second game, that is a big part of different scenarios of
for Ellie,
for Ellie and a lot of other characters too. It's like, hey, look,
you're right.
That person is breathing spores.
Yeah.
Or hey, you're gonna breathe spores if you go down there. It's
right.
There's different plot elements that they're gonna have to change. It's not gonna be impossible to change it. Instead, they've it's gone. And so far in the first 2 episodes, it hadn't been that big a deal. They kind of replaced it. It seems like with
the interweb, the connection between the fungus, which. Real science again, can the roots or whatever can go miles away, and it's like hive mind situation.
You so step on it,
all of the infected are essentially connected. So if you step on a root, spore, whatever thing, it will alert infected from
elsewhere,
miles away, and they will come for you. Now, they will head to that spot.
Like, granted, in the real world, you step on something and like whatever, it's like, oh, okay. You just keep on walking. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Well, in this world, there's hordes essentially of infected people who are in like a section of the city. Like in the second episode, you saw them in the section of like this. They were taking over this, a couple of streets, a couple of blocks, and later on in the episode, Joel and them, they step on it, or like a character they kill, an infected they kill, falls on it rather, and then they're like, oh, here it comes. That is terrifying.
Yeah,
that is such a good. It's a good change. I've heard Neil Druckmann say he wished he had thought of that. Is like I'm thinking like that third game. his work on these shows is gonna affect that third game. Like
you
hardcore.
think so?
Yeah.
Some of the mechanics of how the fungus works.
It has to. Like, and I'm assuming there's gonna be a third game, y'all. Maybe, right? There has to be, right?
Part of me really doesn't want one.
I want to finish the story. I didn't want the second one.
I didn't want the second one either. I didn't want it either.
But now that we got that second one, I need that third one.
Oh my God.
I need this to be resolved.
I think just the discourse behind the second one was so
put you off.
much, that I just was like, I don't want people talking about this game like crazy again.
Sure.
Because it was just, it was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. Like people getting death threats and stuff. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah. Hey, having said that though, I really would love a third game. I would love a third game. I really hope he doesn't have to split his time up too much, Neil Druckmann, with the show and the game. And do the show. Maybe take next year off. Don't worry about a show then. But anyway, y'all, big fans of this show. I'm kind of surprised how much I do like it. Because leading up to the show, we weren't like that excited. Me specifically, I think there was like another trailer that came out, and I was telling Erica, "Hey, you know what? I think I'm getting there." And you were like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I think right before it happened, I got a little excited about it.
It was like a couple weeks for me that I was like, hey, another teaser or something came out. And I'm like, I think I'm getting excited now.
But we didn't talk about the kiss.
What kiss?
The fungus kiss.
Oh, my God.
That has been a big, some people hate it. Some people love it.
Oh, I love it.
A lot of people don't like it.
Some people don't like it?
Mm-hmm. They don't like, I think it's like, oh, you've made it somewhat sexual.
The implication or something?
Yeah, the implication of it. Or I didn't read the scene that way. I read the scene as Tess, who was infected, part of her body was already wanting probably to go to the Horde, be part of the Horde. Most of them run past her.
Yeah.
That one stops. And I think it's like this is how I read it, as the fungus recognized she's infected. She's becoming one of us. She's not quite there. I'm just going to help.
I'm going to help it along. Yeah.
I'm going to help. And they do it by, it does seem, it comes out of the mouth.
A lot of times they're biting the person, but in this case.
Biting, but she's still alive. Yeah. And Tess, knowing this is it, also she's infected, so her brain could be going.
Sure. Because she was already getting the
light. She was shaking the lighter. I thought it was beautiful. And disgusting.
And people were like,
gross.
They devolved it in something like that. Or
a lot of people just didn't like, they didn't like that take of it. And a lot of people wanted her to still get shot by Fedra and all that
because,
stuff.
That's one of the things. If you've seen the show, the infected just come in. Well, in the game, they dealt with the military a lot more. Like Fedra and maybe other soldiers. But I believe it was Frederick that invaded. I believe it was them. It could have been some other faction. Either way, it was people with guns that invaded the Capitol building, right? And where they were, where the Fireflies were supposed to be, and they weren't there. And it was a whole thing. And Tess sacrifices herself. She's given Joel and Ellie a little bit of time to get away. It was a whole thing. And she's fighting them, and you hear the gunfire. And it's like that. But in the show, it's the infected, and it's a scenario plays out like Erica said. She has a lighter. There's a bunch of gasoline and grenades on the ground that she spilled, and she's trying to light this lighter. So, the whole. If anything, it was effective to me. I didn't look at it and go, I can't believe they changed it to this. For the show, it matched. The infected being there instead of soldiers, but also the whole creepy kiss thing. Yeah. They've established that they come out of the mouths.
Right.
It's not like they've shown us that plenty of times now, and that's fine. Oh, she's already infected. Like Erica said, it's getting help. Hey, buddy, I'm gonna help you out a little bit.
Right.
That's
what it seemed like.
It did not play sexual in any way to me. Or like I can't believe this woman is getting kissed, or I don't know what people's arguments are. I haven't heard that, but that's a bit of a stretch to me.
Right. So, show comes out on Sundays on hbomax, you guys, and it's my woo, can't wait. It is like, it's nice to have something else to be. It's been a while that I've had a weekly show that it's just like, oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to come out.
It's been a long time,
It's been a minute. Maybe Game of Thrones, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, because the shows we watch now are, they're streaming, and a lot of times they'll release all at a time or 3 or 4 episodes at a time.
Oh, I think there's some Disney Plus stuff that I've been like,
you know what? Yeah,
gotta watch
Mandalorian
that,
or something.
yeah,
you're
something
right.
like
You're
that.
right. Okay.
Maybe HBO, just HBO wise.
Okay.
Show. There we go.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
make it even smaller like that. All right.
But if you're listening to this, you probably already watched these episodes. You might have already played the game, but for the slim chance that you never have, check out The Last of Us. It is just chef's kiss. And it just only gets the story, as far as we know in the video, the video game story, it just gets better and better and better.
If they even follow it slightly, which it looks like for the most part they are.
Yeah.
And they've confirmed it. This first season is the first game.
It's the first game.
So they do have some ground to cover. I'm interested to see what they cut, because they got to cut some stuff. It's just a lot happens. There's a lot of set pieces.
What if the second season is only half of the second game?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said that.
Did you say that?
Maybe not in this. Maybe not in this podcast episode, but I've said that, like burn that. Yeah.
And I know exactly where they could end it, to have people be like, "What?"
Oh God, people gonna burn city to the ground.
Oh, I know exactly where it could end.
People are gonna riot,
and that is probably what they're going to do if they keep this 10 episode format. There's no way you can fit that second game in 10 episodes.
No, it would be so rushed.
There's
Anyway,
no way.
Anyway, check it out, please.
We loved it.
Please watch the show. If you watched it, let us know how you feel. Are you loving it like us? Are you kind of, it's okay, let's keep going with it, Did
you hate the fungus kiss, and tell us why?
Yeah. Like actually, like, give us a reason. And like, I'm not opposed to changing my views on something. If you tell me why, and you have and if it makes sense to me, I'll be like, you know what, that is weird or problematic.
Right. Still liked it, but I get what you're saying. Yeah,
I can see some other people's opinions. But,
also, let us know what other video games. I mean, obviously Uncharted, but if they redid it, right? But let us know what other games or a book or something that you're like, they need to adapt this. They would make some money, and they need to adapt it. Because, I mean, I'm here for some good stories, like Knock on the Cabin Door, whatever it's called, which was apparently a book, but looking forward to the...
Yeah, so many movies are
the
books,
M. Night Shyamalan, whatever. But I like the trailer, so whatever. I mean, I'm excited.
They should redo Ender's Game.
Yeah. It's been enough. Honestly, it's been enough time. That movie came out when? 2007? Or something like that.
Was it 7?
It was a long time ago.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's been enough time. People have forgotten about it. Mr.
Sure.
Butterfield is older, doing other stuff.
Mr. Butterfield.
Yeah, Mr. Butterfield.
Mr. Butterfield.
They could, I think they could redo that. They probably won't, because studios go by money, and I don't know how much money that movie made.
I think it was kind of whatever. Dark Towers. There's so many adaptations.
Yeah.
That they need to do better with.
But
so
this
far,
is one
Last
of
of Us is not one of them.
No, this is one of the better video game adaptations. It's right up there with Sonic. I mean, it's right up there with Sonic.
It's neck
with
and neck.
Detective Pikachu. It's right up there with
Detective Pikachu. I guess that is one, because there is a game. And for some reason, that one, I never think about that one.
People like Detective Pikachu.
I mean, nothing is ever going to be Mortal Kombat. We can all agree with that.
Yeah.
Well,
the song alone did its work.
Exactly. So we'll let you know by the end of this first season of The Last of Us if it surpassed Mortal Kombat. I don't think it will.
Nothing
anyway,
will.
Y'all.
With that being said, thank you guys so much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube with this. I appreciate you. Comment, like, subscribe. I don't know. Things.
Don't forget to beat the crap out of that notification bell.
God.
Don't people say that?
Yes, they do. They say it. But thank y'all so much. Continue to have a good day. Watch The Last of Us. Play video games. And we'll talk to you next time.
See y'all.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, check us out on Twitch at twitch.tv/Barnard Babble. That's BARNARD BABBLE.